This is Guy Seehey, and you're listening to the Retro Unlearn Network.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 119 of I Got Gameplay. I have no idea why I was doing that voice. Yes, this is I Got Gameplay episode 119, and today we look at the awesome thing that is called gaming. We take gaming and we pick it apart and we talk about it and stuff, and today's episode is no different because we're going to look at the fact is, are video games just for kids? Now what it means is the ratio of adult gamers in this day and age has actually grown bigger, it's become more impressive, and it's actually a statistical fact that adults have actually become more keen to be playing games than children have been, and this is adults over the age of 30, the age bracket which I fill in, of course. But before we talk about that, we're going to be talking a little bit about gaming news. Now, of course, before we do that as well, let's introduce us to our many hosts, including the man who needs to basically mute himself when he's chatting. He is Mr.
I kicked in again, sorry.
No problem, Sean. Sean, welcome to the show. It's been a while. It's been probably a week since you've actually been on. What have you been up to?
Oh, God, well, I've had the week off work. I've just been doing this and that, did a little thrifting, things like that. I managed to find Wonder Boy Loose at a bookstore for $3 there, and a few other little retro things I got to find out and about there Monday.
Is it the Dragon's Trap, which is my absolute favourite for Wonder Boy?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I haven't played any of the TurboGrafx ports, the ones that they couldn't use the Wonder Boy name, but they could do everything else with it kind of thing. GameSec actually is a good retrospective on the series for that. But yeah, I've been enjoying a week off work. I still got tomorrow off yet, and just got back from being out of town. So I was out of town for a couple of days, spent some time with somebody special in my life, and yeah, just besides that, doing some gaming there. One of the things I found when I was thrifting actually was a little breakout cable that you hook up to a video card. It has that little S-video port on the back of it, and lets you do like different outputs. And I was using a VGA S video adapter up until now, and using straight S video now to my CRT for gaming. It's really nice when you're using it with PC gaming. I like it. The frame rate's better. There's no blur or refresh or anything like that. Everything just pops, and it's a bit more realistic to your eyes. There's none of that motion blur from LCD and that. But other than that, that's about it. Just that and working. You?
Yeah, well, I've been good. Been doing a whole ton of jury duty, of course. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but let's go on to another one of our hosts who was on the Untitled Movie Show this week as well, and who apparently loves Evil Dead because it includes tree rape. Yes, it's the very lovely, effervescent Miss Anina Kaski, ladies and gentlemen.
You mentioned one thing and it all gets blown out of proportion, but hello.
Well, guy,
it's just saying I got wood.
Yeah, you're in a relationship with a guy. You should know that everything gets blown out of proportion as soon as you mention it, but I'm sure. It doesn't happen very often, and it is a big deal. I knew it!
What? Tree rape?
Not just tree rape, that's a phrase reference to the fact that, premature guys happen for a reason, and then Chandler looked upset. But anyway, enough about tree rape and premature ejaculation. let's go on to the man who's a master of premature ejaculation. That's the only way I can segue him on. He is the amazing Lawboys Post 1975, Mr. Dave Wade himself. Dave,
Worst
how are you
intro
doing?
ever. Thank you for a really shamefully awful introduction.
I know.
Yeah.
I've just
If you were
embarrassed
single,
you.
that would be the killing blow.
That's in front
I
of
was
your-
gonna rebuttal what I would assume would be a nice intro with a pleasant little joke on the number of shows you've done, which was 119. I remember when all this was built, but I retract.
You retract. He retracts, ladies and gentlemen. He retracts because a curse on all my houses.
I put a pox on thee.
A pox
It's a trick.
on
Get an
thee.
axe.
I feel like we should be actually doing it in song. A pox on thee, a pox on thee. I'm telling you right now, I put a pox on thee.
A pox on thee, the musical.
Oh my
A pox on
god!
thee on ice.
Yes, with panda bears for some reason. Speaking of panda bears, we're basically going to be talking about. I don't know how that's leading into this, but of weird segues, it's leading on to a weird segue. We're basically talking, as we said tonight, about if gaming really is for kids. But before we do that, we've got a lot of news to cover today, and the reason being is because a lot has happened in the gaming world, and so let's get on to that when we do it like this. Yes, Mr. Dave Wade, what's in the news this week?
Well, apparently, and I'm basing this on the conversation we had before this, but it doesn't surprise me that Nintendo already have plans for going over to a new system. And I'm not talking handheld.
Elephant in the room, though, Mr. Wade. Elephant in the room.
Hang on, sorry.
Yeah, Nintendo. Nintendo have talked about a new console. I just found out I had my mic on mute. My mic on mute. My mic on mute. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I felt like a part of my brain just went like a bit off for some reason. It was like it's switching off. Now, Wired basically states all we know about Nintendo's NX gaming platform, which is their next gen platform. So this would officially be Nintendo's 9th gen console. It's a new game platform brewing, and here's what they know so far. Everyone's abuzz with news Nintendo will make a smartphone games, but in the midst of the announcement this week, it dropped another bombshell. It's close to announcing a new dedicated gaming platform, codenamed NX, which will unveil in 2016. The NX said Nintendo President Satoru Iwata, when he announced it, should be taken as proof that Nintendo maintains strong enthusiasm and dedicated game system business. Sorry about that.
Otherwise known as talk about shitting on the people who supported your other one.
Yeah, I wanted to communicate that Nintendo will be progressing in the video game dedicated devices with a passion, Iwata said during a Q&A session following the presentation. We wanted to make it clear that Nintendo will continue with that as our core business. Since then, Nintendo refuses to say even a little bit more about the NX, other than the fact that it's built around a brand new concept from the company that brought us the Virtual Boy. Tells us absolutely nothing, of course, in its absence of information. There's been tons of speculation as to what this might be, and they will have actually more information coming and can guide through its direction. Historically, Nintendo's handheld and home console development teams were always separate, creating totally different types of machines. The fact that the home and portable machines were such different pieces of technology had recently begun to prove very frustrating to Nintendo. Iwata said the presentation to investors in March 2014 that while Nintendo wanted to port Wii games to the Nintendo 3DS or bring 3DS titles to the Wii U, it found that because architectures were so different, it required a huge amount of effort. So in 2013, Iwata unified both hardware divisions into a single team, saying that during 2014 presentation that because of the vast technology advances, it became possible to achieve a fair degree of architectural integration. This meant that he said that porting games across platforms would be much easier and resolve Nintendo's current platform of games shortages, such as the same concept where Andrew Lloyd Webber solved a problem like Maria, I don't know. Then he began to talk about Nintendo's next system that would become important for us to accurately take advantage of what we have done with the Wii U architecture. He said, it of course does not mean that we are going to use exactly the same architecture as the Wii U, but we're going to create a system that can absorb the Wii U architecture adequately. When this happens, home consoles and handheld devices will be no longer be completely different. I have no idea why I'm talking like a retard today. They'll become like brothers and family systems. So let's basically, what Wired are basically saying here is that the next console is going to be something that you can use portably, and you can also use independently at home as a home system. To me, it sounds like they're exploring something in the same vein as the PlayStation Vita platform, like what they did with the Vita and the Vita TV. I haven't got an issue with this. What I have an issue with, and this is what Dave's basically said here, they're closing down the Wii U within a year. So we've got a year left before the Wii U goes.
So what that means, its lifespan was 3 years?
Well, now, see,
Yeah.
the thing is, you got to take into account a lot of things, like, for the fact, like, when they showed the Wii U off, it was still it was over a year before it actually, like, from the moment it debuted till it was actually available in the consumer's hands. Now, when they announced something, now they've already said that they've had something in development for the next generation after this one, which is Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U. Everybody's already got something there they're looking at, just, see where they can improve upon and see the competition's attempt and improve upon that as well. So they're working on something now, yes, and they're going to start showing it off next year. It doesn't go to market next year. It's being shown off next year. So, you know how, they show off the Wii U, the first iteration of it, at E3, and then they turn around and it's like, oh, people didn't like the size of the thumbsticks. Well, we'll make the thumbsticks smaller and everything to that effect. And by about a year and a half, they got the tech all ironed out, then it's put into production, and it's put to the consumer's hands. So, yeah, they'll show it off in 2016, but they might not, it probably won't be in consumers' hands until 2017.
But it's got a lot of life left in the Wii U anyway, and the thing is, I can understand they're probably under pressure from the general consumer to compete with Sony and compete with Microsoft.
That's what I was going to say. This is them basically speeding things up a little quickly and going, all right, this didn't quite go how we wanted it to or how it should do, and we need to directly, I think it's time to admit that we need to directly compete with true next gen.
Yeah, and also the news coming out of this as well is they've announced a new partnership, meaning Nintendo's going into the smartphone business, which means they're going to actually have apps with dedicated Nintendo games in them.
Oh, they aren't making phones there, so I was just going to say cough, engage. Sorry.
No, they're going to be basically, you're going to see Nintendo properties and apps. Now, apparently this is going to start with new properties, but the company that's doing it does have the license to use Nintendo characters in their games, but these won't be, say, ports of games from the NES or the Game Boy onto smartphones. These are going to be new concepts using Nintendo characters, so basically the same way that was done with the Triforce project, for instance, or with the Dynasty Warriors with the Link character in it, So, what do you guys think of that? So, Nina, you've been a bit quiet on this. What do you think of first the situation Nintendo looking at making a new console at the moment, which is the NX system, and what else do you think about the whole Nintendo going into the app business?
Well, I like the idea of something that you can use at home and portably. That sounds to me, if it works, it can be a really, really cool device, and then you don't have to have a separate handheld and a separate console. I like that. But I do think they're giving up on the Wii U very quickly. I'm always behind on a new, well, we finally have a PlayStation 4, woohoo, but that took a long time. They just keep making new machines instead of I'd rather get more games for those machines than having to buy a new console every 2 years.
And people
I'd rather just get more games.
Yeah, and the thing is, Nintendo killed 2014. They actually were the best out of the bunch in 2014 when Sony and Microsoft were making ports of games that were released like a year ago onto the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Nintendo were making new games. Smash Brothers killed it. Mario Kart U killed it. The Pokemon games. The Pokemon games on 3DS killed it. And you've had also the Hyrule Warriors games. Yeah, these games killed it, and Nintendo seemed to take it and think, okay, we're doing well, And then they launched the Amiibos onto the world, which, my God, the amount of fucking crazy going on with the
whole
Amiibo.
world went crazy for those.
Yeah.
I'd say to Nintendo, they do well to take heed from Sega in the 90s, which is you could only do so many consoles so quickly, constantly trying to, go for that second Mega Drive before even your most loyal fans get pissed off with you.
I know, I'm in total agreement with you there, Dave, and this is the thing. I think there's a lot of life left in the Wii U, especially on the fact, it bugs me wholeheartedly that Nintendo are not considering their fan base here. They're not considering the impact that this is going to make. Now, I'm hoping that, because like what they've done with the 3DS system, the new 3DS system is going to extend the life of the 3DS. Apparently it's been getting some good reviews. A lot of people are pissed off of the fact that this thing is going to be taking over from the previous 3DS. It's like a successor in a sense. And it's going to make the old systems obsolete. Now with the Wii U, what this next system is going to do, they're saying that it could have the same elements as the Wii U, but it won't be the same console.
So basically have backwards compatibility.
Yeah, so my issue with this is, why are you going into the 9th gen market already when you could have been concentrating on making better and better games for the 8th gen? And I think a lot of this has got to do with the fact that they want third-party support again. So they're thinking if we play around with new technology, third-party support will come. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Nintendo have got that negative stigma with a lot of these parties like Ubisoft, like EA, who just don't give a fuck. So
why do you think the whole app thing? It sounds like a plan of someone who's really, really afraid that they're going to tank soon. But as you said, they have no worry of tanking anytime soon. But it's like, oh no, we have to make apps now, just like Apple. But they're not really in competition.
We have to do everything that's
Apple.
never been associated with us as a brand before, thus not becoming Nintendo.
It's like a panic. It's like an utter panic to conquer everything.
the thing is, Nintendo could go. The thing that people don't understand, Nintendo could be making losses for the next 10 to 20 years, and they still wouldn't go broke. The company itself has made a lot of money to the fact that it's got a cushion there. The way that they see things is they want to take over all the rest of the markets. This is not a money issue. This is a more or less. This is a issue in terms of seeing how they can maximize their revenue streams and also exposing themselves more into child audiences. Because, you know, believe it or not, they're still a manufacturer who believes in. They kind of have the WWE model of things of bring them in young, hook them in until they get older. And you know, I'm being a Nintendo fan myself. I feel there's not enough adult games on the system until games like Bayonetta came out, Hyrule Warriors, for instance, came out. They're starting to get some more adult-orientated games, but they're not utilizing it as much as they are with the kids stuff, like the Amiibos. They're encompassing the toy market now and attempting to make the console more of a children's entertainment system to kind of bring kids in and get them to play like a lot of their games, which I haven't got an issue with, especially over the fact that, you know, my Minions, where the first console they started with actually was a Nintendo Wii, and then I moved them onto the Wii U because I didn't want them staying on the Xbox or PlayStation 3 because there's not enough kids games on there. They've tried, Sony and Microsoft have tried, but it hasn't worked, you know. Now, they decided to utilize smart devices aggressively, said Nintendo President Satoru Iwata in a joint presentation with DENA, known as DINA. I don't know if they want to be called after like the last food that you eat during the day. Their smartphone devices have grown to become windows so many people personally connect to society. It will be a waste to not use these devices. We are challenging ourselves to redefine Nintendo platforms on what they mean, says Iwata. They do not specify what games might be headed to smartphone devices. A Super Mario Endless Runner, Zelda Crunch Saga. Nintendo's chief didn't say, but he did rule out the specific category of games, and Nintendo will not publish or simply port existing classic titles to these devices. All we know is going to be new games featuring their existing characters. So that's another good thing there as well. Now, moving on from that, something's happened during this, current year, basically, this current week, that could signal the end to the new Silent Hill game, otherwise known as Silent Hill PT, or as those who know it as Silent Hills with Norman Reedus. And the reason being, the one man behind the Metal Gear Solid franchise, the guy who was actually at one point head of development of Konami, I was going to say Capcom there, of Konami, the basically the brains behind Solid Snake, the Fox engine. He basically is, how can I put this without basically making it a big thing here. He's a presentation from Konami's website came out quite recently that they're doing a reshuffling, so to speak. They're refusing to basically confirm, and they haven't denied it either, that Hideo Kojima is expected to leave Konami after Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, this is only a rumour, and I want people to take it as such, because it's been reported by the Silent Hill Historical Society at first, who just their Facebook page. They do everything Silent Hill, and I'm with them at the moment because they're basically a site that deals with everything Silent Hill based. Now, they're saying that the reason Kojima is leaving is there's power struggles between Kojima Productions and Konami have led to the publisher to make drastic changes, including employee statuses of its Metal Gear team. Some senior staff of the studio, including Kojima, now essentially work as contractors and not permanent employees. Now, GameSpot Insider reports that after they finish MSG5, Kojima and upper management will leave Konami. They said their contracts will end in December. As we have already announced, we are shifting our production structure to the headquarters controlled system. This is what Konami have stated. In order to establish a steered, fast operating base capable of responding to the rapid market changes and surround the digital entertainment business. Konami Digital Entertainment, including Mr. Kojima, will continue to develop and support Metal Gear products. Please look forward to future announcements. Now, in regards to Kojima Productions news, Silent Hills, that game is part of the deal between Del Toro and Konami, not Kojima. So apparently, Silent Hills may still be going on if Del Toro is still on the project. But the thing is, what people don't understand is it's being run by under the Fox engine. So this is where the problem lies. Where does it leave that? And Kojima basically is known for trolling people on the internet. If you've read his Twitter feeds, if you've watched his commercials that he's done, like on Metal Gear Solid, the bait and switches he's done, he loves fucking with people. So this could just all be him toying with people's emotions. So let's start with you, Dave. What do you think of this?
Hang on, sorry. Someone was trying to Skype me from work and I was just quickly typing, I can't answer. Not now. Go away. Right. I agree with you, which is, I like the bloke, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of his, but I do find he sometimes captains soundbite just to sort of, I don't know, either likes the sound of his own voice or take a feeler of the market to see what people's reaction.
Well, he's actually our mastermind as well. He does like...
Oh, yeah. But the thing is, this might be too strong a descriptive term. You could only cry wolf so many times before people start to, like in your case, start to think, are you just doing what you're normally doing? Are you trolling the internet? Are you trolling your fan base? If I had to go push what comes to shove, I'd probably agree with you, mate. So, yeah.
That's the thing as well. He's basically, his game, the Metal Gear Solid 5, is basically keeping Konami... it's the only game that Konami is actually launching this year. They haven't got anything else on the radar. So I wouldn't expect them to kind of steamroll him and push him out, because if they do that, then they've literally got nothing. And the Fox engine's owned by Kojima, it's not owned by Konami.
Plus also, they've been about to do it. I mean, I still kind of think it is trolling, but at the same time, they'd be stupid to do that because obviously there was a little bit of a backlash over the basically £25 demo version. So I think they need him on board to basically take their only title of any merit this year and make some money.
And Nina, what do you think?
Just so I'm clear, what happened to Silent Hills thing? It's not
status is up
coming
in the air,
out?
because apparently Del Toro is going to be directing it, but the game utilizes the Fox engine, which is actually owned by Kojima. Now, what's being rumored, and I'm not, as I said to people, don't take this as take it with a pinch of salt. Don't fucking scream the apocalypse is coming yet. But Kojima is being said that he's going to be leaving Konami. If you check his website as well, nothing has been put on his website to say that Konami, affiliate with Konami Entertainment, because he was actually one of the head of operations of the company at one point. He's the guy who kind of masterminded the reboot of the Castlevania franchise. He's the guy who kind of signed off on a lot of the new games and new titles that have come out. And he was also the guy who was trying to give a rebirth to Silent Hill with the Silent Hills game that was being made with the Fox engine, but Del Toro was going to be the game's director, so he'll be looking at the story. He would also be looking at ways to kind of enrich the horror of the game title, which, he kind of did. There was a few issues I still had with it, but it was, in all intents and purposes, one of the scariest things that you've ever seen. Now, the problem with him, if he does leave, if this isn't a freaking troll by Kojima, it means either the game would have to be reinvented as something else, or it's the end of it.
They can't not make that trailer.
It would be the end of it.
Then not make it. That was terrifying. That trailer, and amazing.
They couldn't make anything else now
that.
at this point, could they? So
exactly.
it would either have to be cancelled or.
Again, this is just my instinct. I think maybe it's. I don't know. Why would they stop making that? I don't see why he would leave when it's obviously gonna be a huge hit. Put Guillermo del Toro's name in anything and everyone will buy it. Including me. I love the guy. There could be, Guillermo del Toro toilet paper, I'd be queuing up to buy it.
The problem is, I think, in terms of what's going on at the moment with Kojima and Konami, Kojima could, if he ends up becoming, as they said, they've put him as a contractor, once his contract ends, he can go anywhere. He could go to EA, he could go to Nintendo. Kojima could go anywhere and make games, so he doesn't really, and his team the same thing, so he'll still have Kojima Productions. It's just they won't be under the Konami umbrella anymore, which also he'll be taking the Fox engine with him, which is not a Konami property.
Yeah.
This is the thing, and people don't get it.
I don't know, all I want is for them to make Silent Hill. That's all I want. I don't know, why sort of pitch rumours around? Maybe it's to get a buzz. Maybe it's a PR buzz thing. I don't know.
Well, that's the
unless
thing. Kojima is a master of the PR buzz. He knows how to get people talking, and I think that's one of the main things.
Unless it's to sell Metal Gear, because people basically just go, "Holy shit, might be the last Metal Gear game we ever get."
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah. It could quadruple in sales. The thing is as well, Konami owns Metal Gear. Once he's completed that game, and if he decides to leave, they can make as many Metal Gear Solid games as they want, just won't be with the Fox engine. So this is the big thing. Sean, what about you? What do you think?
Well, see, there's another way of looking at it, too. See, Konami could be doing the smart thing like Sierra did back in the day. What they did was they fired the employees and rehired them as contractors, not actual direct employees. They're contracted, but differently, not as an employee, as a third party. And they might be doing that instead, and that would make it easier. So yeah, if he wanted to go do a project at Nintendo, or he wanted to go do something for Capcom for a little while, or something like that, he can. Stan Lee kind of did the same thing. He still does stuff at Marvel, but he's not Marvel exclusive anymore. He's like their Mickey Mouse, so to speak. Well, it's ironic because Mickey Mouse owns them, but they could be doing this for Kojima.
So in the 90s, people forget that.
Yeah, they had to buy themselves out. Their Toy Biz division, they spun that off when they declared Chapter 11, actually, and bought themselves out. DC, they actually asked Warner Brothers would they buy them. They're like, no. It's like, it makes no sense to buy the competition, right? Like, competition is good for business. Marvel owed a lot, actually, to DC. But, Kojima could be doing this in the sense, like, saying how people react on initial, or it could be trolling, this is Kojima-san after all, so this could be just actually, him giving us the raspberry.
That's exactly it. So, as I said, guys, take it with a pinch of salt. We don't know any more of what's going on in terms of the situation. I will update you as soon as I find out. You can basically go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheNerdGenius, retroisland.com, nerdgenius.com, and also stay tuned to this show when we do the news section at youtube.com/OnInRadio, and we will make sure that we keep you up to date as follows, because, we want to know what the hell's going on, we know why it's going on, and because, as a gaming fan, this is a big thing, it's big news. Now, going on from that, let's basically put the news to one side now and go on to tonight's topic, and we'll do so right after we have our next musical interlude, so that gives everyone a bit of time to go and do their own thing.
Slash break!
Pretty much it, yeah. While we concentrate on getting a bit of music to you lovely people. And as I said, if you're an artist of any point, just basically give us a shout. We will play your track and we'll give you full credit on the link at the bottom of the page as well. And we'll also give you credit using our various outlets as well, tell people where to buy your stuff. We basically played some music from Mega Ran, which was the Soul Veggies album. This time we're going to basically play something a little bit more gaming orientated in a sense. Now, what we're going to do is from the game Super Mario Bros. 2, but this one is actually the Overworld theme, and this was done by the Name is a Fool remix. Now, this is a kind of a different kind of version of it, but it's kind of awesome at the same time, and I'll tell you who the person is behind this right after this. And we are back. Yes, that was basically a very, very lovely song by the excellent Rockstar Dubstep Promote Productions, basically. They produced a track known as Mario Brothers 2 Overworld theme. The name is... the name is a Fail remix. And yeah, pretty good. If you love dubstep, you're going to love that, of course. And it's a great, great track. I actually used it in the background for one of my videos quite recently as well. So now we're talking about basically adult gaming and if gaming is just for kids. Now, as we've talked about quite recently, Nintendo has seen themselves kind of market themselves as more of a kids gaming platform now, and it always kind of had that negative stigma since the days of the Super Nintendo, when Sega basically said they did what Nintendo don't, per se, you know, and the fact that Mortal Kombat wasn't actually on the system in its entirety, because you couldn't actually have blood on the Super NES when that came out. Now, let's go over to our panel and basically ask, Dave, do you think gaming is kind of a kids platform at the moment, or do you think it's kind of very mixed?
I think it's not, it's far more adult now than it used to be. But then that said, you can always remember that even way back with the Atari 2600, they, you know, were trying adult games, albeit, you know, poorly with Colonel Custer, whatever it was, you know, and his one pixelated penis. But it's always been there, but obviously Call of Duty stuff like that means it's more the preserve of the adult, but there's still the other market. I think I would have to say, because kids are, you know, kids' birthdays, Christmas, stuff like that will always be a market. But you've only got to look at, you know, the distaste that the Wii U and the Wii caused to so-called hardcore gamers, when you could say that, I think, in the eyes of most people, it's more adult than it is kid. But there still happens to be a child market.
I'll lay some facts on you in a little bit when we talk about that. So your opinion, you think it's more kind of an adult scene because you've got the Call of Duty?
I think there still is a kid scene, but it's more prevalently an adult thing now.
So, Anina, what about you? You know, Dave's talks more about the Call of Duties, like the adult-oriented games and stuff with blood and guts and gore, and stuff like GTA. What do you think? Do you think it's more of an adult scene, or do you think you kind of have a bit of both?
Well, obviously has a bit of both, but to me, the ones I remember being advertised more are the adult games. It's, you know, the Evil Within. I've still let a kid anywhere near that. Honestly. It's too terrifying. GTA, definitely adult. I'm sure loads of kids play it, but I'm gonna be an old lady about this and say it's not suitable for children any way, shape or form. I think they're going for the adult market because adults have the spending money. They have the spending money, and also they're more loyal. Kids are kind of fickle, you know. They'll go through whatever's cool. They'll play a bit of games, and then they'll get too old, and they'll think, "Oh, I don't like to do that anymore." But to me, I'd say adult, definitely.
What about you,
Adult.
Mr. Sean Michelin? Anina was basically saying adults have the money, adults have the cash here, and there's a lot of games that are dedicated to adult gamers because they have the income to kind of purchase said games. What about you? What are your thoughts? Do you think it's more of an adult market, or do you think it's kind of a kid-friendly market?
Well, you really do notice when you look at the free-to-play games that every other dev with an Android SDK or an Apple SDK has there to crank one out, that a lot of the ones that are free are for kids because kids just go in, get it, and play it, and then or beg mom and dad for a cartridge or God, I sound old, or a 3DS game or what have you like that. But like for the real serious gamers, and they're usually the more grown ups, at least into the mid-teens and onwards, and into their adult years. The more serious, more complicated gameplay is towards adults. I'm playing Fallout New Vegas right now, and it's got a lot of different things like skills and buffs and everything like that, and you're not going to find that in Candy Crush or Flappy Bird. Those games are more geared towards everyone, but a lot of the times those games are geared towards children and get them into gaming. Like the Jesuit said, get them while they're young.
Well, apparently, according to 2014 gaming stats, which goes on about who's playing what and why, and this is basically according to BigFishGames.com as part of their blog. Now, basically, it's a follow-up to Colin Murphy's article, Stereotype Defying Gamers Tactics, where they look at global gaming landscape and the highlight of games, the shifting trends, and the affected 2014 shapes in terms of games. While recent 2014 statistics, no doubt intriguing, examining the statistics against the past, present, and future of gaming helps frame the numbers up in an entirely new way. So you check out some of the 2014 gaming trends and take a look at the state of gaming to gain a bigger picture for the gaming industry, and they develop in terms of game sales, compare who's in the industry, where it's gone and where it's heading in 2015. Now, they're saying the top 10 gaming trends are women are playing more and more games, and it's basically a so-so older generation. So it's a relatively small increase, but women now account for 47% of US gamers and 42% in 2012. This is short for the relatively small increase, but the game population become more and more diverse as developers have taken notice. Older gamers are also fanatical. 29% of gamers are over the age of 50. Though the interesting trend is the creation of game communities specific. They're more geared towards specific older gamers. So we're more the ones who go on Facebook, we go on the websites, we're the ones who migrate to gaming forums. Gaming families and friend networks are in the norm. So out with the lonely solo gamer stereotypes, gamers have grown up and they have gamer kids. So pretty much like me exposing games to my minions, the families that game together stay together. So basically it's a great way for companies like Nintendo to grow their fan base, because they know if they've got someone in the household who's grown up with Nintendo, they're more likely to kind of share it with their kids. Now, over half play at least once a month, so 16% of kids play with parents, 40% play with friends, 17% with spouses and significant others, 34% of other family members as well. However, 89% of parents are more involved than even in their kids' purchases and play. The Entertainment Software Association notes that barely more than a generation of video gamers transform the diversion for a few into a mass medium. So basically helping people live, learn and work, and of course play. So all the notion about parents not purchasing games for kids, or kids trying to purchase games of their own, parents are aware of what their children play. So if you see a kid play GTA or any of the adult games, that's usually mommy and daddy's involvement right there. Now, revenue from games and games content is up, and it's on par with the movie industry. So it's been a few years that game sales are up to 24 billion, and have outpaced more box office successes at just 10 billion per year. Games are a serious competitor to the entire TV film industry, and gameplay is now eaten into even mainstays like television viewing. Games are going more and more mobile, of course, as we know. Casual casino mobile social games are becoming as popular as PC and console games. 46% of teens play on mobile devices, 71% use dedicated gaming devices, and anticipate the future growth of mobile games involve more multiplayer gaming options. Forbes magazine notes that the future of gaming isn't proprietary hardware, it's user choice cross-play platform and playability. So basically what it means is if you've got a console, you want to have that choice to play externally as well as internally. So you want a home console, and you also want a console that you can play outside where you're out and about. The free-to-play business model, as Sean talked about here, has redefined the marketplace. Now, many games are free-to-play or free-to-try, which have been shifted away from games that were only available on purchase or both. Subscriptions makes a variety of games available, so players are now trying more and more, rather than sticking with one or two platforms. Video game violence is more of a problem in the media for gamers and their families. Now, there's a lack of casual data linking games to violence is having the effect on public perception. 91% of games developed geared towards teens and kids are mainly options available outside mature games. So basically what we're saying is there's a lot of games out there that are geared towards kids, that are geared towards teens, but a lot of kids are actually picking up the adult games, which are actually few and far in between. So games like GTA, Saints Row, games like the Call of Duty games, for instance, games that have the blood and gore, aren't as readily available as kids games and teen games, but the tweens, so to speak, the kids that are going into adulthood are the ones that are buying the adult games because they want to actually give that kind of a try. They like it. It's kind of how the movie industry has kind of grown and become more susceptible to sort of violence and gore and certain things that they can actually get away with. So it's become more of a mature thing. Variety basically spices up life as well. And the big thing, which we all probably know, is Asia is still a hotbed for gaming. 34% increase in China from 2012, whopping 94% of the pie. An interesting difference in landscape dominates social games, involve cooperation, stealing items, resources, and friends. So any games that you have cooperative play, most of them will actually be played in Asia because they like to game with their friends. So, in statistical data as well, 58% of Americans play video games. The average age of your player, let's have a guess. What do you think the average age of a game player is?
28.
Close. Nina?
32.
Close again. Sean?
Average gamer, 35.
Actually, it's 30, so you're all really close there. 62% of gamers are all adults. 62%, that's whopping. That's almost over half of gamers are adults. 68% are above 18 years and older, and 45% of those gamers are female. So up to 42% in 2012, so 45%. The average gamer per household is 2 gamers per household. So, for instance, Nina and her partner both basically game. 51% of the household owns at least one console in the house. Your average age of purchase, see if any of you guys know what the average age is. Dave, average age of purchase.
Average age of purchase?
So
what do you mean, the person buying?
Going out to purchase games.
Ooh, I'm going to go with 25.
Anina?
I'll stick with 32.
And Sean?
20.
Anita actually wins it out. It's actually 35, but she was the closest at 32.
Aha.
So the average age of people who purchase games are at 35 years of age. 77% of gamers play at least 1 hour per week, and 36% play games on their smartphones. Parents,
1 hour per week? What pussies?
now,
That doesn't even count.
now, see how many of you can guess this one right. What's the percentage of parents that are involved in their kids' purchases of games? Dave? Give me a
Percentage?
Yeah.
Ooh, see, I want to go with the exception you had. Most parents are crap these days, and that's why kids get to play GTA. So I'm going to say about 25.
Anina?
Ooh,
25%.
very low. I'd say 60. I'm
And
sure.
Sean?
I'm sure. When I was a teenager, I was like, "Please buy me this game." So 60.
Yeah, I used to be like that, but then my dad would be like, "Here's some money, go out and buy something for yourself." But my dad would kind of trust my judgment in terms of what I would play. So, Sean?
Well, seeing as how a lot of these gamers are now, in their early teens and still, elementary school, you gotta think about that a lot of them are being raised by our generation. And, the generation raised us, we we didn't really have active gamers as parents, but you get a lot of parents out there that are gamers and show their kids. So I'm going to go towards 85% for like the SRB warnings and things.
Sean takes the cake on this one. It's actually 89%. Good on you, Sean.
Wow.
89% of parents purchase games for their children. So
I guess I
that's
just have no
sports
faith
better.
in humanity.
yeah, so if a parent pays for a game for a child and it's an adult-orientated game, or a kid's playing GTA, know that his mum or dad has purchased that game for him. So there you go. That's a parent's purchase for their child. 79% of parents place time limits on video games and playing, compared to 78% who limit internet usage and 72% who limit TV viewing. The average UK gamer, of course, is 35 years of age. So basically, Dave, it's more in our age bracket in terms of UK gamers. Our average age is 35. What's the average sex of gamers in the UK? Let's start with you, Anina.
Average sex.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Gender.
It's gonna be male by like
answer.
2% over. It's gonna be 48 female, 52 male. So I'll say male.
Sean?
Yeah, I'd say it's going to be pretty much just about down the middle with like a plus or minus 2%.
And
So yeah, like 48 to 52 male.
okay, and Dave.
As you know, I'm a chauvinistic pig, so I'm going to go 60 male, 40 female.
It actually is.
I'm not
it's
sure.
actually the closest there, but it is male. So the average gamer in the UK is male. Now they play almost 3 hours a day, and the average gamer fights with their partner over the gaming hobby twice a week. 50% of people saying they've broken up over the amount of time spent gaming. So guys, if you're out there and you're lonely and you play games and your partner has left you because you can't get off the Xbox One, that's your fault.
Why are we?
How-
Yeah, it happened to Daniel
Did it say-
Craig.
Did it say percentage? How big of a percentage is male versus female in the UK? Well,
The UK itself is just behind the United States in terms of iPad purchases, and worldwide video game industry has grown 9%, exceeds over 76 billion, with projections that reach over 86 billion in 2016. The European market for games is almost 20 billion strong. Japan and China lead the pack with iPhone and iPad games. Russia is also a major user, ranking 6% in the world. The game industry in India grows 16% in 2012 with 227 million. 91% of people on Earth have mobile phones. 56% of people own a smartphone. 50% of mobile phone users use mobile phones as a primary internet source. And 80% of time on mobile is spent inside apps or app games. The consumers spent $20.77 billion in video game hardware accessories in 2012. In 2014, the number is predicted to be 24 billion, so it's raised by about 4%, basically about 4 billion there. 40% of game sales include digital content subscriptions, apps, and mobile games. So we find that the current trend with gamers is we tend to go more on subscription-based platforms such as the PlayStation Now, apps, and mobile games. So we do in-app purchases as well. 120,000 people are employed in the video game industry across 34 states, so we can see how it's grown. 43% of tablet owners spend more time with their tablets than their TVs, PCs, and 84% of tablet owners most of the time playing games on it. So this is all collected in data. This is basically on 2014. When it comes to 2015, this is probably going to be a much higher ratio, but as you can see, the amount of gamers in the United States, in the UK, is actually dominated by an adult industry, and parents are more in line to purchase what they can for their kids. Now, in terms of that, we can see the way that the adult gaming trend has gone, and a lot of people tend to go and look at these platforms and these statistics thinking that gaming is just for kids. It's not. It's actually become a more adult orientated, and the funny thing as well, these stats have shown that they have migrated from people of mine and Dave's generation, for instance, have grown up, and we have taught our kids basically about games. So say if I had a Nintendo Entertainment System in the household, or if you've grown up with an Atari, or if you've grown up basically after the gaming crash, you would have had a console in your house already, and that gaming console would have led you to kind of go up a generation. So you would have gone from Nintendo, from the NES to Super Nintendo to the N64 to the GameCube, and then to the Wii and the Wii U. If you're basically like with the Sega fan, you would have probably gone with the Master System to the Sega Genesis, or as we call it in the UK, the Mega Drive, all the way up to basically the Saturn and then the Dreamcast, and then probably would have made the switch over to Sony or Microsoft with...
Well, that's a quick, interesting interjection I'd like to make, which is Sony, you could argue, was the first console that immediately appealed to more older gamers. Not maybe because at the time its price plan as well, but you look at its launch titles and stuff like Wipeout, it was clearly Sony were basically saying, no, this is aimed at adults. This isn't really aimed at kids.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's basically shown that as a platform, Sony have became more of a diverse platform, because they had games that were considered kid-friendly games, such as Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot, both made by different developers. Crash Bandicoot by Naughty Dog, I believe, and the developer of Spyro, I'm trying to think what they were called. I'm trying to think what they were called. They had
I was going to say, it's not Crystal Dynamics, is it? No.
I think it was Crystal Dynamics, I think. But then you had the adult gaming market as well, because they had Lara Croft Tomb Raider, which wasn't really considered a kid's game, because you had a running around as a big-chested woman shooting things, and basically raiding tombs. Then you had the kids' consoles, which Nintendo was considered as, because the Wii kind of brought that more family dynamic to the console market. It had, Wii Sports, Wii Bowling, Wii Fit. It was the first console that was actually in old people's homes, because it was a way to kind of get old people off the couch and get them to be more fit. So you could see there was more of a diverse range there than it was seen as kind of just a children's market. And this is what's happened. We were basically now more sport for choice than ever in terms of what we're purchasing. But the alarming thing here as well is that the adult gaming market has basically fluctuated over to kids, because we've seen the high marginal 89% of adults who purchase games for their children. So that it basically means that a lot of these adults are buying these adult-orientated games for their kids. So we'll start with you, Dave. What do you think about these statistics? The whole adult market purchasing for children, the fine go-between. Do you think there needs to be more of a kind of a regulation, legislation put in, or maybe even more adult controls put in?
So there are quite a lot of adult controls put in. People parents just buy their kids whatever they want. There is a couple of interesting things just on the facts you're reading out there, I just want to say, which is, it's more predominantly adult orientated, that people slag the Wii off because they said that's a kid's console, that's for kids, that's kids games. Like it was a bad thing, and the negative backlash it's got. But then you could argue that we are slightly getting back to it being more aimed at kids, with the fact that you've got stuff like Amiibos, the Marvel stuff,
the Disney Infinity, and you've got like Skylanders, which Skylanders and Disney Infinity, as markets go, they actually have over $1 billion in terms of the gaming industry. They earn $1 billion each, and they're not just from the games themselves, it's from the downloadable content that could be unlocked from the figures. So they're not just collectibles, they're there for the children to play with, so they've got the both like toys and game market at the same time. So this is a big thing, and it also allows... I think
it can and should, it can exist on both levels. It will always predominantly be adult, but it can exist on both levels. But I think ultimately what it comes down to is, it wouldn't be so predominantly adult driven if, it hadn't at some point become, and trust me, this tangent makes sense of it, it hadn't become bigger industry of the movies, and then all of a sudden, because do you remember how long commercials were when we were kids on TV? Like the Sega Pirate stuff?
About a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and then you look at stuff now and you got to look at the trailers for the Halo games, which are basically Hollywood productions. Live action Hollywood productions. So,
yeah, you got guys like Spielberg making trailers for these bloody games. And you now have games with directors now, which wasn't a thing that they had before. You'd have a game director who would basically sort through the code and usually be the guy who's helping to code the game. And the games wouldn't be as long as they are now because it would be a continuous difficulty because you only have about 3 or 4 levels on the bloody thing. You know, now you expect if a game's less than 5 hours, people riot, don't they?
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh,
Me
the Order
included.
1886. Look at this shit.
Yeah, and
I think with so many, the big games have such massive budgets that now people are very unsatisfied with anything lower than that. If you know what I mean. So you can't get away with mediocre anymore.
No,
Whereas
exactly.
in PlayStation 2, yeah, you could get away with mediocre because that was all the budget they had. So that was the best they could do. Now if it's not cutting edge cinematic and cutting edge facial, like Heavy Rain, so they don't look almost human, people are a bit like, oh well, this is shitty. And that plays with kids games as well. I mean, Smash Brothers has an amazing graphics. It's beautiful, beautiful game. But that's a really smart game because that appeals to both adults and kids.
Yeah, because Smash Brothers...
When I think kids games, I think of something very, very childlike.
Well,
something
Smash Brothers basically
like
it does something
too
rather
simple.
different with the fighting genre in a sense because the fighting genre is mostly considered adult and kind of teens. You'd have like over 18s.
Yeah, like Mortal Kombat was one of the first ones I played and loved as a teenager.
but you wouldn't
Which was very bloody for back then. It was bloody, and violent. Whereas Smash Brothers is cute and fluffy and, stars shoot about when he hits someone instead of actual pools of blood.
Plus you're using Nintendo characters, basically.
Yeah.
You don't actually kill anyone in it.
With. And
You
it's
don't
also
actually got
helped-
health bar per se.
Yeah, and it's also helped characters basically from failing gaming franchise to get a new lease of life in them as well. And with the incorporation of amiibos, you're allowing kids to kind of have that extra little leverage because they're getting these little toys in as well that you can incorporate into these games. So Nintendo are being really smart with this. And as an adult gamer though, when you're looking at stuff like the PlayStation and the Xbox, they're not really considered kid friendly. They've tried to tap into that market, like with the Kinect, which is basically just left on its last legs now, and the PlayStation Move, but they're not really. They seem rather niche for those platforms. When Nintendo's kind of embracing that, the others are kind of putting it in there, thinking, "Oh, we could make some money off of this," but most of our gamer market. Like for the PlayStation, it's the RPG fanatics. It's the cinematic story-based gamers. The Xbox, you're looking at more of the FPS shooter fanatics. The guys who are more first person style. Call of Duty type players. So you have those, and Nintendo, you more have like the kiddie style games. Like now for the first person market, for instance, for the shooter market. They've now got a game that's being released called Splatoon, which again, it's taken the first-person shooter and it's turned it into a kiddies market. It's allowed children to kind of have their own variation of that, which doesn't. It's more paintball. It's not considered a kind of an adult-themed thing. It's very kiddie, very childlike, and I think Nintendo knows how to make an adult game very childish, which helps.
After Nintendo, I think the iPad, obviously it's not one company who are doing iPad games, but the iPad is full of games aimed mostly at children. I've got 5 nephews and nieces, because my brothers have bred well, and the amount of iPad games there are for kids. So, smaller game companies that do iPad games have cracked it as well.
I do wonder if some of the amount of games there are on the iPad on there, because cynical marketers know that because of all the hidden microtransactions, that kids won't know that it's, there is physical money involved in the games and just go batshit crazy and make them very rich.
Maybe. They do come with the warnings, but the wealth of games out there, and there's a whole section in the iTunes store which is like learning games, you know, memory games for kids.
Daughter, a lot of her education comes from those games, like the stuff that she doesn't understand from school. She can open up an app and play a game, like one of my son's favourite apps. And this is my 3-year-old son, who, when I was 3, I didn't know what the hell was what. I probably just sat on the floor, soiled myself and picked the nose. Where my youngest little boy is basically...
You did that yesterday.
Exactly, I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
My youngest
is that
boy,
is that the opening paragraph of your memoir?
It is. My youngest son, he'll sit there and he'll play the Minions game on the iPad, and he knows how to time like the jumps correctly. He knows how to platform. He knows how to use them. And every time like he dies, he also knows not to do something. So his mum's got it on a parental lock where he can't make the microtransactions on using her iTunes account because he's got to put a password in. So, some kids get around that, but if you're a smart parent, your kids
won't let it happen, yeah.
Yeah.
You won't let it happen if you're a smart parent.
Yeah, I know. A lot of this is why a lot of these parents who kind of try to...
Clearly, you have ever been to Bristol, then.
No, I can understand the fact that a lot of the parents who are out there at the moment are kind of breeders. I get that. They're the ones who kind of like breed kids and just don't really care about the consequences. I think the worst thing I've had in terms of my kids purchasing stuff was when my son purchased Sonic CD on the Xbox 360 using my card, but that was my own fault because I left my account unpassworded. So I had to remove the card from the account. I had to basically change the password on my account to stop them accessing it. But I didn't phone Microsoft and say, "Oh, I want the money back." I just went, it was only a $5. That's fine. I'll keep the game. I like Sonic CD anyway. But I did tell him off after.
I know it's going back a while, but do you remember that spoon who bought the Xbox One off eBay?
Yeah.
Then pissed and moaned because it turned out he just bought a picture of it, which they never said it wasn't in the eBay auction, and eBay actually refunded him.
And he was given a free one by Computer Exchange. Like, my God. But yeah, now let's go back onto the statistical point here, and it says, now, on Reddit, we're talking about a young man, age of 13, he plays video games mostly, first-party Nintendo games on the 3DS, previously DS and GBA, he's more of a handheld guy. He's on the Wii U and previously Wii, and he also plays Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, a few other games as PS3. He's especially a fan of Pokemon, he's been playing since he was 7, starting with Emerald. Proud of the Pokemon obsession. The thing is, people always say grow up and stop playing baby games and play real games like Call of Duty. Why the hell do people do this? And anything you guys say to get me to stop this, it pisses me off so much. So can you tell me why people define it as such? Now, a few little comments from there, and this is from the Reddit on Nintendo Wing. They said, "You will learn people who view things as childish or not cool are really sad little insecure man children, blah blah blah. Nintendo games are very mature, but they range in every type of style. So they say that Nintendo games can go from adult to kind of childlike, but they also have child games with adult themes in them, like in the Japanese variations of Pokemon. A lot of the Pokemon are actually very creepy. One's a child kidnapper, another one's from the soul of children and dead bodies. Believe it or not, if you read the text, it's kind of very nasty kind of stuff. They're very mature, they range at every type and style. I still love Pokemon games, there's nothing like them, or I would want a cheap knockoff of anything. I also love The Last of Us, none of it is childish. These, they're two type of couple of games. Gaming was all about solving problems and being challenged to competition, fun and inspiration. I always go back to Nintendo consoles and games, and I haven't touched the first Xbox since the 360 came out, PS1 or 2 since I've had the PS3. Yeah, I've plugged in my SNES, my N64 GameCube over the past 4 months. Even friends want to play them. And a lot of this is due to the fact that Nintendo tend to not compromise on the fact that they like to make games fun. Even though they're considered a very childish console, Nintendo have they're probably the only company that actually understands what making games are about. And this is the thing, you can vary in ages. Like there are games for my children, like my daughter's favourite game, she likes at the moment, which is on the 3DS, is the, what was it called? I want to pick up the game right now and tell you, but I can't think. She likes the Pokemon games. She's a big fan of the other one, Nintendo. Oh, what was it called? It will come to my head in a second. But you know, she likes games like Nintendogs as well. She's a fan. I'm trying to think. What's the one where you build the island? You've got Animal Crossing as well, which is a funny thing about Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is a game about nothing. You play this game, and all you're doing is you owe someone money. You have to pay your debt back.
Essentially doing a bunch of mini games from iPad all combined into Nintendo Land.
Yeah, Nintendo Land as well.
Well, the same with Sims was very similar. Sims was play and control a normal person going to work and, you know, their spare time. They're the most addictive games, I think. The ones where you actually don't do much. Where you're simulations of any kind. I know I love them. Don't ask me why, but there's something really addictive about making a character do simple things.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kids like being, you know, a lot of kids, and I don't know if a lot of people will agree with me on this. If you guys agree with me, they want to be the adults. It's the reason why a lot of kids play adult-orientated games is because they want to be in the adult market, you know.
I think it's playing house. It's a version of playing house, playing Animal Crossing or something like that. Sims or whatever. They're playing house. They're playing what being an adult is like.
Yeah.
You know, build a little house. You know, make a little garden. Speak to a cat-faced person. You know, they're very how children see being an adult is like.
Yeah.
That's
they look at the adult life, but they want to go to work like mummy and daddy. They want to do stuff like what adults do, but they don't want to. They don't want any of the kind of the unnecessary stuff, like, you know, the stuff that we have to do, like paying tax and bills and going through like bullying and other stuff like that. Because a lot of the stuff that we that we have to go through in our adult lives, the kids don't experience because they're sheltered from it. Now, a lot of the games that are currently out there at the moment, like Animal Crossing, allows you to do all that stuff, and you don't have to do anything else, you know? Let me ask you guys a big question there. Now, seeing the fact that it's proven that the adult market is kind of the dominant market in terms of gaming, and the trends have kind of become more focused at like adults, like as you said, Ubisoft kind of have they have the kids games like the Just Dance and stuff, the family orientated games, but they also have a lot of the adult games like the Assassin's Creed series. They have a lot of the multiplayer games.
Can't say Gesundheit twice, it's unlucky, sorry.
Yeah, Capcom, you know, Sega's now left the console market altogether now. You've got Atlas with the adult gaming types, the RPGs. Where do you see these trends going? Do you see it continue to go on upheaval? Because I had a conversation with my brother recently who said that he feels that we're expecting another gaming crash. He feels there's an oversaturation in the gaming market and it's become something a lot bigger. What do you guys think?
I don't know, I'm trying to think back to how many consoles we've ever had at one time before, with the exception of when it crashed. That was a combination of things, including software, but I think having three main competitors, oversaturation or not, I don't know, I think that's quite healthy. The only thing I can think with it leading to a game crash would be if every company, and I couldn't see that happening with Nintendo, although kind of are be complacent if they are going to jump ship sooner rather than later, would be if everyone just started banging out cheap shit that only had a campaign of 2 hours and the rest was online. If everyone started doing that, then I could see that would start to cause, you know, issue. But as is, you still get those big, well-valued games, well thought out, you know, particularly Nintendo stuff. So I think it could do with, you know, more reasonable pricing. But I think we're a fair way away from the conditions that were, you know, that were there before that could have caused another game crash or system crash.
Well, this way, like you've got like Ubisoft and several companies, such as what Sega did with the Sonic Boom franchise, where they're throwing glitch games that are basically not even properly done, out in the market, and then throwing patches at them to try and fix them, and ruining gamers' experience. You've got Sega leaving the console market because their game franchises aren't selling as great as they used to on consoles because they're throwing out glitchy games in their own right. If you're seeing that, and you're seeing a lot of developers moving over to mobile platforms, trying to do things that are cheaper, simple, and easier, don't you think that with all that, with the new consoles that are coming out, we've got like an oversaturated market of Android consoles coming out? What do you think?
Well, they're some of those are already facing their backlash, though, aren't they? What was that one console Snob bought the other day? There was an Android-based one. I forget. It wasn't Noia. It was another one I never even heard of that completely and utterly tanked.
Is it the Game Stick?
Yeah, unless you hack it, buying a game for it, it's the same as it is on an actual Android tab, albeit not optimised for the joypad, is like twice the price. So that, that died within itself. I think more so than before, consoles will be taken on by, singular by singular basis and judged. So, I understand what you're saying about tablets and Android consoles, but I would hold that slightly separately outside. While it's part of the gaming industry, I don't know. I know people play games on their phones at bus stops and stuff like that, but if I talk to any of my mates who are proper console gamers, they don't really play games on their phones.
Do you think we're going to have the trend of console? Do you think we're going to see like big games dying out because of the fact that the gaming market is moving over to the mobile and tablet devices? Because, as you said, like kids today aren't kind of growing up the way that we grew up. With like say people like myself and you, Dave, and probably yourself there, and Nina as well, and yourself, Sean. We've grown up where games have been a lot more. We've gotten a lot more content, and we've gotten like a lot more in terms of what we get for our games. The kids that are growing up in this generation are mostly playing app games. They're mostly playing very kiddies games, So, in that sense, do you think they're going to go? And their attention spans are decreasing. We find that kids don't play a certain game for a longer time frame.
That's quite interesting, because if you think about how it is now, where the market's more predominantly adult, which is people such as ourselves, and we're the ones who play on consoles and stuff, couldn't you argue then with future generations, if they're all going to have short attention spans and grow up on Android, iPhone and app games like that, then what? Where we stand now and where we will be in a couple of generations' time are probably going to be two completely different places. In that environment, an example, I could see it more predominantly being an app-driven thing. Because you've got to remember, if it is more predominantly adult gaming, the average age is 35 and stuff like this, and they've got kids, but their kids are, raised on these short attention span games, then in 20 years' time, when you've got these, 25-year-olds, what exactly are they going to be playing? They're going to have never grown up on a console.
Pretty much so. What about you, Nina? What do you think? Do you think that because of the app games that the attention spans are getting shorter and that games are going to be less challenging?
App games maybe, but I still think big console numbers will still be challenging. I think people enjoy a stimulating game they can really get into, because it's a different kind of it's that whole thing of people will spend hours on a video game and be solving problems and thinking and trying to figure out how to get to the next stage, but if they have to do work, they won't want to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's that whole thing of we get strange satisfaction from hardship in a game. So app games will still be quick, easy games that you can just dip into and dip in and out of. But I think the big games will still stay challenging. Because I know I would get bored of a PlayStation 4 game if it was too repetitive and too simple.
What about you, Sean? Do you think that the future of gaming is going to be bright, or do you think that it probably will end up moving into a direction where it's just going to be bite size, it's not going to be as big as it used to be, and because of the short attention span, gaming is going to be catered to these kind of shorter spans, kids who just want to play for the sake of playing rather than even immersing themselves?
Well, see, now, you got two different arguments you got to make. One is about like personal taste and how they change through the years, like in the trends towards what games are popular, versus the technological capabilities of the platform that becomes popular. And back in the day, we had to use a lot of imagination because we're using we're using the Atari, and then not so much the NES. Things are a bit more legible, and the games got bigger, and you had like enveloping RPGs on that, and on the Master System, SG-1000, etc., and even on the computer. And then, into the 90s, you started getting stuff with a bit more sound and, even video, and it started getting more ambitious, and then now you're playing big, huge, ambitious games, or you could be playing little Twitch games on your tablet and that, but a lot more people are having cell phones now as well, so it's like there's going to be different levels to the market. The numbers may fluctuate here and there because, the transitioning ages and things like that and the personal tastes. But, I mean, like, I remember a point where RPGs were the big thing, and then it became, like, the first-person shooter became the big dominant thing in the market. Then it was, the imagination genre now of Minecraft is taking off like crazy. And so, as well, you got the amiibos now. So, it's really like you're not so much going to see you're going to see one number one there, yes, but you're going to see a healthy enough market to be able to cater to a lot of different people and a lot of different tastes. Now, granted, there are more children now as well, like you were saying too. I was actually at a craft fair today with somebody, and like I was seeing parents going around, every second woman that was going around with a child under 3, or under 5 I should say, was pregnant, severely pregnant. And so, like, I'm seeing, like, if they're around with a kid, and you can almost bet money on it. Every second person who's coming around is, having a kid. A lot of people are having, being able to afford families and things like that are a bit bigger than that. So, you're not going to see gaming taper off by any means, but you're going to see it have different incarnations depending on, the markets that they're at. Like you said, like over in Asia there, it's a lot of online, play with your friends and things like that. So it's a lot of, RTSs and first-person shooters and things like that, or, MMOs. And they're pretty popular too. I mean, Warcraft is amazingly popular. But I mean, like I said, then again, you've got Minecraft, and Minecraft, like anybody who is under 12. And one of the things we actually were at a craft fair today selling were crocheted items. But like, they're like Minecraft pillows and creepers and things like that. And they sold as soon as they were out. We were actually sitting down crocheting and sewing together new creepers. And within 5 minutes of putting one out on the table, it was sold. It was sold. Minecraft just catches on so much.
Schools have now incorporated Minecraft into their syllabus, haven't they? There's like kids variations.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, there's like kids variations of Minecraft that they can actually play at school. So that's a big thing. And it basically shows how kids are kind of integrating themselves and how schools are kind of integrating technology using these various platforms to kind of bring kids in and allowing kids to use something that they find accessible to kind of cultivate them and make them want to learn.
Yeah, and that's the thing about a game like that. It's not just fun and opens up the imagination. It's educational, too. Like, it teaches you to use your imagination for a lot of different things. So, I mean, I see so many parents now getting into Minecraft just so they can, teach their children properly how to play Minecraft instead of just watching the videos by PewDiePie, etc. all the time. Because I know so many kids, what they do is they watch the videos.
Yeah, my kids tend to watch, like, YouTube on their Xbox as well. And one of the things they tend to watch is a guy called the Diamond Minecart, and he does like that, and also Skylander Kids. There's a one guy who basically made a very big channel doing Skylander Boy and Skylander Girl. Then they had like the little one, another little kid who became like the Light Force kid and stuff, and they show off their collections. They do shorts. And the dad basically does like rap videos, including Skylanders, and my kids know all of it. Like when I bought them Trap Team for Christmas, they could tell me every character in the game, and I was like, "Who's this character? Oh, this character's this guy, and this is the Chaos Trap, and this is this trap." And I was impressed about the amount of knowledge that my kids had about it before they even started playing the game. They did their research, and this is like my two little boys, my 4-year-old and 3-year-old, who knew about it. My eldest girls, my 8-year-old and 6-year-old, knew everything about this game. So it's very, the amount of accessibility kids have to games these days, from the YouTube channels, from the partners of those channels, from the games they play, and from the variations they have of those games. It shows that, you know, the future, in terms of the way that kids are being raised on consoles, where, you know, for me especially, I find my kids are a hell of a lot smarter and more tech savvy than I was at their age. You know, I was just a kid who, you put a pad in front of me, I'd play a game. If you put an arcade in front of me, I'd want to pop coins and play. So my hand-eye coordination was great. But my games wouldn't really make me think. I'll just always think about how to beat the game itself and what buttons to press. Where my kids now actually figure out how to beat the games a lot more. My eldest daughter beat the first Skylanders game. We were on the verge of beating Giants, and then we were going to basically... and then her and my other daughter played like 3/4 of the way through Trap Team, and nearly had the game beat before they stopped. Like, you know, their mum decided not to have them over here anymore. And it's basically one of those things where you sit there and you look at it and think, wow, you know, we never had this. The amount of accessibility and the amount of work that a lot of these kids put into these games and a lot of game time they have is just literally amazing. Okay, 1 second. I think we've lost something here. I'm trying to.
I'm still here.
Back. Oh, you're still here? Who's
Yeah, I'm still here.
It's Dave. Dave's gone missing.
Elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be back in a second. Ladies and gents, we're going to go now onto the plugs and end the show now, because I think we've sounded off as much as we can on it. We're just going to leave a comment from Mikio Brothers, who's in the chat at the moment. He says, I think adults took over the fact that Nintendo is trying to direct gaming towards kids. It's great, as most adults tend to go for consoles making adult games. Is it pretty much limitless for architecture using things such as a small power system and reactors? So Minecraft is a great spark of the imagination. Welcome back, Dave.
Sorry, but in my defence, I did quite well for BT to only fuck me over this late in the call.
Yeah, you did. Improvement.
Yeah, so let's go on to the plugs now. So Dave, where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm gonna be good with this one. I'm gonna save my dark plugs for Slamcast. You can find me on Lawn Boys Post 1975 if you like your retro games, a good old-fashioned vlog, topical questions, and yes, a huge amount of different systems and me playing games badly with a big, fat, potty mouth. Then come and check me out. And you can find me on Facebook as Dave Wade, because the Facebook police finally got me and made me change it back from Lawn Boy.
Yes. Anina, we can also find you on the Untitled Movie Show. We did an Evil Dead retrospective quite recently. I do like the fact that Miguel got a bit upset because he wasn't Ash. I'm sorry, I have to be Ash.
Yeah. There's a really cool piece of art you did for that one. But yeah, apart from Untitled Movie Show, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Anina Kaski. ANNINAKASKI. And hopefully soon on YouTube as well.
And Sean, where can we find you?
Okay, on YouTube and on Twitter and on Instagram, you can find me Diatlus79, DAIATLUS79. Facebook, it's Sean J. Michelin. Look for more. I have another account that I haven't used in a long time that might pop up for that, but new videos will be out soon. I keep saying that, but I just had so much bloody stuff pop up now, and I've actually got the capture setup actually done better now, so it's, you know, bonus there. Yeah, I got content up there, Raspberry Pi stuff, some gameplay, things like that, and gonna be cranking out some new stuff soon. But yeah, hit me up, follow me, have a chat.
And ladies and gents, you can find me on youtube.com/TheNerdGenius. We no longer host these podcasts on my channel anymore, which is a great thing, because we won our case against Tattooed Ferret Productions, who tried to claim an image under DMCA regulations stating that they owned the rights to the image, which they're not the original photographer. So I'm not going to go into semantics about it, but we won. So YouTube 0, us 3 at the moment, because I've managed to beat out 3 different copyright claims. And I'm not going to get too cocky about that, because, you know, eventually someone else is probably going to come gunning for me. It always happens. But check out my newest video. I did a video, it's my first vlog of 2015. It's the first time I've actually been in front of the camera I think it's been like 6 months now. And the reason being is because I kind of haven't been that kind of available, accessible in terms of being in front of the camera. I've been kind of suffering for a little bit from depression as well, so I've kind of not been wanting to go in front of the camera and talk much. But I did it was a tag video that was given to me by Xander Scullion. He mentioned my name in his original video, so I did my video on it, and it's called 5 Gaming Facts on Yourself. So what it is, I talk about 5 facts that you didn't know about me that I knew about myself in terms of gaming facts, including my love for the Nintendo Entertainment System from when I was a kid, the first console I ever played, the first system I ever owned, and also talking about the first arcade game that like the fact that I never played arcade games, and I basically played this game later on console. I've got some great stuff on there as well. I tagged Johnny Millennium, Rob Mann, Scott Bailey, the console snob, Mr. Dave Wade as well, and also Megaran in that video. So they're the 5 channels that I've tagged, basically saying to them to do the same, to do a 5 gaming facts about themselves. Great video. It was really nice to actually come back and do that. I'm going to try and get in front of the camera a little bit more, because I'm going to be doing more movie file reviews. I've got a rather British review coming this Sunday, depending what time I get back, because I've just been booked in to kind of shoot a modelling shoot tomorrow, so I've got to do that first before I get home. So I've got to cycle all the way down to Liverpool Street and then get my train from there, because everything's just so much more expensive. Thank you, freaking public transport, for just ripping people off.
What do you do with your bike? Take up the train with you?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the train with my bike from Liverpool Street, because I won't be able to take the bike on the train. And then when I get there, then I can cycle to Liverpool Street via Southwark Bridge. So I can go through Surrey Quays straight up to Southwark Bridge from there. From Southwark Bridge, I can then cross over to Liverpool Street, go to Liverpool Street, get my train from Liverpool Street to Cheshunt, because I would cycle all the way to Cheshunt, but it would take me 5 hours. So I can't. Tomorrow I don't feel like cycling for 5 hours. I'd rather just cycle for half an hour to Liverpool Street and then get the train for half an hour. But yeah, I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. I've got a lot more stuff in terms of the fundraising and more cast announcements coming for the Silent Hill project. That's coming up. I'm working on a few more film projects. I've got a film release coming, a director's cut of a film that I did for the 48-hour film project. I'm not going to talk about it as of yet. Check me out on the other podcast, Slamcast Untitled Movie Show, hosted by the Miguel Leon. Slamcast, hosted by Brandon Ligon. And Burhan and the Boy, of course, hosted by myself and Dave Wade. And, you know, bigger things coming. I'll be at Play Blackpool in May. Find me there if you want to see me. Subscribe to my channel, like, comment. Also, subscribe to the Retro Unlim Network, as well at youtube.com/UnlimRadio. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say my bid you adieu. This is Michael Burhan for the lovely Anita Kasky, for Dave Wade, for Sean Michelin, for the Marquio brothers who was in the chat for us as well, for Mr. Retro Unlim, saying that we've got gameplay. Have you?